somebody who's famously known as the savior of the Sydney Test, Mr. Hanuma Vihari. Ashwin, the stalwart, the legend, deserved a farewell match. Do you believe that at the fag end of your career, the state that you come from or which part of the country you hail from actually has an impact on the way you're treated as a player? One controversy that you were at the center of, the Andhra Cricket Association controversy. 2 or 3 very serious allegations leveled at you. One, they went on to say that such behavior is not something that is new coming in from Vihari. He's been known to be an aggressive person, somebody who hurls a lot of abuses, etc. Second aspect is they went to the extent of, claiming that you were into substance abuse out of everything, being an athlete yourself. Some names of substances, and these are very serious allegations. Who was your favorite captain, and what is the difference between each of the captains that you've played under? But how do you respond when somebody like Mr. Ambati Raidu comes out and says he was excluded from teams at certain points only because Virat didn't like him personally? I mean, a lot of allegations have been leveled at Virat, the human being, not the cricketer. Trend that people have observed that when Mr. Mahendra Singh Dhoni is the captain of the Indian team, there's this barrage of CSK players playing for India. When Virat is the captain, there's a barrage of RCB players. Is this familiarity quotient a factor? And do you believe playing for a particular IPL team can also help your chances in the Indian team? Coming to Sanju Samson and Shreyas Iyer, 2 people that I would love to talk to you about. Language, caste, colour, creed. Have you seen these aspects at any level influencing dressing rooms at any point in time?
Yeah, every level. I mean,
nothing unites Indians like cricket and movies. Joining me today for a brief and I hope a constructive discussion is a cricketer who rose or rather emerged as a beacon of hope for youngsters across the 2 Telugu states of Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. Somebody who boasts of over 10,000 runs spanning over a first class and list A career of 15 years. 16 test matches, 5 half centuries, a century, and mind you, somebody who's famously known as the savior of the Sydney Test, Mr. Hanuma Vihari. Vihari, first things first, when people call you the savior of the Sydney Test, 23 runs, I believe 161 deliveries. Did you ever think that a 23-run innings would be the highlight of your career, if you consider it as the highlight of your career?
yeah, it is one of the highlights, definitely. I can't deny that, but I would have thought there would be many more highlights in my career, not just the 23 runs. Obviously, that 23 runs, that drawn test match in Sydney led to a amazing test series win. After that, we won in the Gabba and made sure that we cleansed that series 2-1. But yeah, I would have loved to have many more innings, more than the 23 runs to have the highlights in my career.
Before going into the IPL, your predictions, you're one of those people who in fact got it almost 100% right. Harsha Bhogle says something about that Sydney Test, right? He says when Ashwin walked out to join Vihari on the crease, in his head it was like, okay, well tried India, it's done now. Yeah. And after tea, I saw the way you walked out as well. Either you were in pain or you were in deep thought. What was the situation like? What was going through your head? And especially that one walk that we could see on TV, what was in your head? Was it like, okay, it's too hard right now, or are you taking it ball by ball? What went through your head at that?
For any batter, the best phase to be in is no thoughts and no pain. Right. I was in that phase because I was not thinking much, because I thought everything was over. Genuinely, what Harsha was saying was, well tried India. I just wanted to be there 1 ball at a time. I was not thinking too much ahead. I should draw this test match. I should be a hero, or my leg is in pain. I was not thinking any of that. I was just being in that zone where I could just see 1 ball at a time and tell myself that, whatever happens, if I get out, I get out. But I'll try to survive till the last ball and take it 1 ball at a time. I was not talking much to Ashwin as well. I was just being there in my phase. I think that's the best phase to be in for any batter. If you ask them, if they played for a longer period of time, they would tell you the best phase to be in is not think too much and not think about your body if you're injured. So I was fortunate enough to be in that phase in that moment.
Also, I always believe that a lot of things are clearer when conversations are heard, right? When you get into the actual nitty-gritties of what happened. Superficially, I believe a lot of people have heard the story about the strategy of you playing the spinners you playing the pacers versus Ashwin playing the spinners and all of that. But if you could just tell us a couple of excerpts of what sort of conversations went around this entire moment, it'll give our viewers a gist of where you stood, how momentous what you eventually ended up achieving. And for us, like I believe Michael Clark said it, at the end of that test match, India walked away feeling it was a win, while Australia walked away feeling it was a loss because they almost won the test match, but it was just two men standing in their way. So any conversations around that time that you very evidently remember?
See, conversation is when two people talk, but it was Ashwin talking all the time. I was listening, so it's not a conversation.
Is that normal with Ashwin? Is he the talkative guy?
Yeah. I mean, two people are there. There's room full of people. Ashwin will be the loudest voice. He's that kind of a person because he's got a lot of knowledge, he's experienced, and in our partnership, he's the one who does a lot of talking, which is fair enough because of the experience he's got. And I was happy to listen to him. And I'm a guy, when I'm batting, I don't talk much. That's the way I like to, progress in my innings. And especially when I'm injured, I thought, I just be in my zone. Like I said, I'll be in my zone and not talk too much. Ashwin was doing the talking. Initially, we had some misunderstanding with the run-out chance and everything. Then
I believe, did he forget? Okay, during that moment, what happened? Did he forget that you can't run, or what exactly happened?
I didn't tell him that I couldn't run. I said I couldn't sprint, but I didn't try running. So after that, when I jogged also, I couldn't jog. So that's when I realized I was in really bad running sprint. I couldn't run. I was
because I remember
totally
you walked
injured.
Up to him after that and you tried telling him something.
That's the only thing I told him. I told him I can't run.
Got it.
In that partnership, I only told him I can't run. You bat one end, I'll try to bat one end.
Because even commentators, I realized, sometimes jump the gun, right?
Yeah.
They assumed Ashwin knew that you couldn't run and they were like, is it a brain fade?
No.
Has he forgotten? Yeah. So the fact is that he didn't know that you could not run.
Even I couldn't know. I didn't know. I knew that I was injured. I didn't know till what extent I can really push myself. I thought I could jog, but I could barely walk. That's when I realized I could barely walk, and I told Ashwin that, no, this is not happening. I can't run. Then we tried to play 1 over at a time. He was batting at one end, I was batting at the other end. He was having trouble facing the fast bowlers because of his bad back, and I was having trouble facing the spinner, Nathan Lyon, because my leg was not, pushing forward. So we got a message from the outside saying that I face the fast bowlers and he faced the spinners. That was a game-defining moment, I would say, because I was facing the fast bowlers pretty comfortably because I didn't have to move much. And luckily, they didn't change hands with the spinner as well. They didn't try to push me playing the spinner. And
they missed the trick, you mean to say?
Yeah, they missed the trick there. They kept bowling spinner from one end, fast bowler from the other end. They didn't change hands. They were not smart enough. They thought it's just a matter of time. But when the partnership kept going, they also, they were also tiring. They played four bowlers, 3 fast bowlers and a spinner. Cameron Green bowled few overs. And they played throughout the tournament the same set of fast bowlers. So we knew at the end of the game, we had a draw with 1-1 to Gabba, but they had fast bowlers who were tired. And it was a quick turnaround, 3-day turnaround. That's where Michael Clark said that, we went away. It felt like a win because of the situation of the game it was. And, that gave us a big momentum going into the Gabba test.
Before I come to Ashwin, I have a specific question on Ashwin, but we saw the number of injured players or unavailable players. The 11 of injured players was possibly seeming stronger than the 11 which took the field on the final at Gabba. At that point in time, what went around? What was the environment like? Because there was change of captaincy, a lot of senior players not available, and when you lose somebody like a Bumrah, who's your strike weapon, you're pretty much half in with respect to your morale. So what did it take for an Ajinkya Rahane to bring you guys back and make you believe that, okay, we're still in the game? And second aspect, this is again just not a question, rather a doubt. I believe you flew back immediately after the third test, right? Yeah. But a couple of seniors stayed back despite not being available. So is this the call that the board takes? Because I'm sure you would have loved being there when eventually you won the series.
Firstly, I went to Gabba. Then management and myself, we sat together and took a decision that if I go to NCA and get treated there, I would be available in time for the next series. That's where they took the decision of me flying back to India. But the other seniors, they were there because their recovery period was not as much as what I needed. So, having those players injured, like 7 or 8 main players who were playing in the 11 from the first game, got injured till the last game, if you see, and there were a lot of debutants in the last game. If you see, Washington Sundar was making his debut. Natarajan
Shardul was also practically making another
because he's playing his
he bowled 6 balls, I believe, in his first test.
Right, and Saini was making his debut. So, if you see the bowling attack, Siraj was leading the bowling attack with 3 test matches.
3 test matches, yes.
So, that says, Ajinkya Rahane, we should give him the credit for what he's done with that bowling attack, especially against the strong Australian batting. It was not like the previous series where David Warner and Steve Smith were not available. They said, that's where India had the edge and the advantage. But this time around, they all were available. They had the experience, they had the class. But I think Ajinkya, Rahane and the bowlers, the way they got the 20 wickets to set up the match.
Would you say Ajinkya is one of India's most underrated cricketers? Because I believe that he doesn't get the credit that he deserves a lot of times.
Yeah, 100%. Especially when we're traveling abroad, the kind of contributions he's done with the bat. And that series with his captaincy as well, after losing 30, after getting all out for 36 and losing the first test match, to come back and get 100 in the second test, that's one thing. And to lead India to a 2-1 series win tells what kind of a cricketer Ajinkya Rahane is. He's selfless, one thing. And he's always reliable once you go to Sena countries, especially, the 100 at Lords, the 100 in South Africa, 100 in Australia, Melbourne, he got 100. I think 2 Boxing Day test matches, 100s he's got. So the kind of contributions he's done to Indian cricket, I think sometimes we underrate it.
Back home for the family, Vihari, what did it mean? I mean, I was just talking to you off camera. That one line of Harsha Bhogle where he says, Vijay Lakshmi Garu mee koduku chala baga adutunnadu. What did it mean for the family back home? As much as you would have liked a 300 or a triple century to be the highlight, but when something like this happens, and you are then called the savior of the Sydney Test and all the PR that followed, all the love that followed. Back home, how did it feel? And would you say that years of training over a couple of decades eventually helped you in that one moment to fight it out?
I think the fighting spirit came from the situations I went through from the childhood, if you see. We had a lot of challenges growing up, and even with cricket, I had a lot of setbacks. It's not been an easy ride. I mean, any sportsman, they would say the ride wouldn't be easy, but once you get to that stage, especially with our Indians, we have that mental strength and stability where in tough situations, we can get through those because we've already faced through a lot more difficult times before. So that was the case with me. Even in Sydney, when the things were tough, I knew I had the mental strength to get over the tough phase, even though having an hamstring of grade 2, close to grade 3, that didn't affect me. I knew what was in front of me, what I should be doing, and I made sure that whatever the team needs at that point of time, even at the cost of risking my career, because that's what we've been taught from childhood, isn't it? What best you can do in that situation, you have to not think too far ahead.
Did the thought of, let me think about my career and maybe not play today, did that ever cross your head during the course of that innings?
Not really. Until I got it, I didn't want to leave the field. That is the only thought I had. Because if you look at the batting, Ashwin had a bad back, and then Ravindra Jadeja broke his finger, and we had bowlers after that. So if I didn't stay there, India would have lost the test match. I know that, and I didn't want to be the reason. Yeah, and the series as well. And I didn't want to be that reason where India lost the test series, and not without trying. Even if I got out the next ball, I just wanted to give it a try. Just be there, hang in there, play for as many balls as possible, but eventually it ended up saving.
What was your version of the Tim Payne Ashwin altercation?
I think it was fun, isn't it? The banter is required. When you're playing that intense test match, you need some kind of a banter, and obviously I wouldn't be the one who was creating the banter. Ashwin was the better bet, and you don't mess with Ashwin because he's got a smart brain.
There's very few people in the cricket scene who verbally can put you down as much as they can with the bat or the ball, and I believe Ashwin's one of them.
Absolutely, yeah.
Due credit to him. But coming to Ashwin, a more serious question. There's been a lot of talk, and I think Robin Uthappa said it recently in an interaction as well, of whether Ashwin, the stalwart, the legend, deserved a farewell match, right? And I can quote a lot of examples, VVS Lakshman being one of them, who did not receive a farewell match. So Robin, in a recent interaction, said, anybody who's at least played 100 tests for India and has served the country over the period of, say, a decade or a decade and a half, that's the bare minimum you can do.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody's saying WTC final should be their farewell match. But so, do you believe that at the fag end of your career, the state that you come from or which part of the country you hail from actually has an impact on the way you're treated as a player?
I think after you play for 100 plus test matches, I think the state association don't really play a part whether they highlight you or they don't promote you as such, because once you play for a certain amount of time, you'll have a good bond with BCCI in terms of you'll have a good connection with the president or the secretary, even the captains, Indian captains for Rohit Sharma or Virat Kohli, even Jasprit Bumrah. When Ashwin retired, Bumrah was the captain then. I think they had a conversations where what time was the right time to retire, and we've seen Ashwin was talking to Virat Kohli for a lot of time before he announced his retirement that day. So I am sure it was a collective decision, or Ashwin decided, and then he had a discussion with them, and he called it a day. But I'm sure state association won't have a bigger impact on suppose for Ashwin or VVS Lakshman.
They're
They're
beyond
playing
that
with-
league, you mean to say.
obviously they're beyond state association.
Coming to IPL, you predicted that this time there'll be a first-time winner. You got most of it right. From an Indian talent standpoint, an Indian team standpoint, because I believe we're going through a transformation as much as we like to disagree, with the likes of Rohit and Virat announcing their retirement from tests as well as T20s. How do you believe this season went? Uh, and who are your top picks in terms of future perspectives for the Indian team?
I think there are a lot of exciting talent which came up. You see, 14-year-old is coming and taking the super striker of the season. That says what IPL is made of. If you ask me, Priyansh Arya he's had a fabulous season. Ayush Matre, 17-year-old, Vaibhav and Ayush will open for India under 19 in the upcoming World Cup. So that's great to see. You know, the 14 and 17-year-old actually dominating the IPL even in the first season itself. So I think it's a season where a lot of first-time players have come and shine on a big stage, which doesn't happen that frequently in the IPL as well. It takes time. People take time to come and establish themselves, even the youngsters. But if you see 14, 17-year-old, even Priyansh Arya is 23, 24. There are a lot of other youngsters who come up and showcase their skills. I think IPL is such platform where, especially in white ball cricket, India is blessed to have so many cricketers available to play the T20 format, and it's, I think, selectors headache who they want to pick. They have such a bunch of players, great bunch of players where they can pick any of them and they'll still be match winners.
This time Sheikh Rashid, a lot of guys even from the two Telugu states that you've played for have come to the fore, be it Nitish, be it Tilak. How do you see the future for talent coming in from these two states at the national level? And do you believe that the regulators or allied industries can provide more support in any way to ensure that we also break the barriers as soon as maybe a cricketer from other states can?
I think, see, if white ball cricket is all about exposure, if you ask me, why people from Delhi, UP, they are coming up quite nicely. It's because of the Premier Leagues and the tournaments they play. They play a lot of 40 over, 20 over tournaments. So that's where I think the Telugu states are lacking at the moment. Yes, Andhra has a Premier League. Hyderabad still doesn't have a Premier League. But the standard, you see, if you compare from a Delhi Premier League and Andhra Premier League, that will be huge. Because the exposure isn't there. And if you see, they'll play only 4-5 matches, whereas Delhi Premier League, they'll have more matches. And the quality of cricket or the batting as such, 230, 240 are also being chased. They're scoring 300 in one game. Priyansh Arya scored 6 balls, 6 sixes in one game. So there's a difference in standard, if you ask, in white ball cricket from what we have as a Telugu states and what they have in the northern states, because of the exposure. They play a lot of T20 cricket, a lot of 40 over cricket. They don't play much red ball cricket at all. That's where they struggle in red ball cricket and we excel. So it's the other way around. But if you look at cricket, how it's going forward, it's all about T20 cricket. If you ask me, that's the sad state of, if you're a cricket fan, that's the sad state, isn't it? You like to watch a good test match. I would like to watch a good test match, days of test match rather than a T20 game. But fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know, but it's going in that direction.
So the reason I ask you that question, Vihari, is as a cricket fan hailing from Hyderabad, we've seen the generation of VVS Lakshman. When you compare it to states like Saurashtra, right? Once there is this breakaway player who's played for India, played for 10, 15 years, there follows a generation of cricketers who make it big. In the case of Hyderabad and maybe to an extent Andhra as well, periodically every 1-2 decades, there is this gigantic player who comes out. Then there were people like you who came out as hope. But we don't see that barrage of players coming in and making it big either in the IPL or for that matter. This time around, last couple of years with the likes of Nitish and Tilak and everybody coming up, I think we're finally seeing that happen. But would you say we are a little too late in terms of that cycle? And if yes, what, according to you, would be the solution for all of it?
I think there are a lot of things, if you compare Saurashtra and Hyderabad and Andhra, I think Saurashtra, they have a cricketing culture where cricket would be given first preference. Especially the western states, if you ask me, whether it's Mumbai, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Saurashtra, and even Baroda to an extent, they give a lot of preference, Vidarbha, they give a lot of preference to what the cricketers need. Whereas in Hyderabad and to an extent Andhra as well, it's the administrators who are running the show. They see what the administrators need and cricketers will follow after that. So it's more to do with how the administrators are treating cricketers. If you are treating cricketers as champions, then the champions will come out. But if you are treating cricketers are there just to play for the state, then they'll try to survive and they'll think, how can I play for the Ranji Trophy for the next 10 years? Not dream about playing for the country or make the team win a Ranji Trophy title. So it's how you become how you're treated, right, in a state-like environment. And players like Nitish, Tilak, they come out because of their own excellence, because of the talent they have, because of the hardworking nature they have. Few players will excel in that environment as well. But if you see, Nitish has not played much for Andhra. He's played a couple of years. Tilak has not played much for Hyderabad. If you see the records, they've been excellent in the under 19 levels. They've excelled very well. Nitish, for that matter, because he's a three-dimensional player, he's got an opportunity very early on in his career. Otherwise, if you see, Nitish was just as a batter, he wouldn't have come up so early in his career. So,
in fact, I'd like to give you some credit here. I'm sorry to interrupt. You are somebody who's seen promoting a lot of these young. I remember that tweet of yours where you said, invest in Nitish Kumar Reddy. He's one for the future. Do you believe when you were playing that was lacking, that kind of support from the ecosystem?
yeah, but I can't complain, right? Because I always believe that I should play whatever cricket I play on my merit. And if people are supporting me, I'm grateful for it. I appreciate it. But if they don't, they don't. That's all. Because I don't expect anyone to support me or to put out tweets or do the PR. I don't believe in PR. If the PR works for them, good for them. But I'm someone who tries to just play on my merit as much as I played. I played 16 test matches till now. I'm very content with it. I don't complain. I'm not unhappy with it. But with the case with Nitish, why I put out? Because he's an exceptional talent. Very rarely you find in India after Hardik, you don't find a genuine all-rounder. But I've seen in early on in my in his career when he was playing for Andhra under me, I saw a spark in him because there are very few cricketers who are fit, who can bowl medium pace, who can bat and field excellently. He's got that in him. I think he'll get there. He's still not there even in IPL or in international cricket. But once he finds his game, once he finds his place, and once he finds confidence, I think he'll play for the next 10 years.
I mean, that is always there, right? I mean, there's still a lot to go. I mean, and I'll give you that. Yeah, like you said, you've never complained about people not supporting you, but that question of mine was stemming from somewhere. Recently, I came across one of India's cricketers coming out and saying IPL today has become a business. There's more PR as compared to, and one of the aspects also raised is there is this ecosystem in certain states. Again, it doesn't come across as a complaint, but it's an added advantage to somebody, right? When players come out of certain states, there's an entire ecosystem, including the media, the analysts, the commentators, and their performance is elevated far more than maybe a Vihari's or a Nitish Reddy's. So, given the fact that maybe the talent is the same, right? The two cricketers, one hailing from Andhra, the other hailing from maybe Karnataka or Mumbai, the talent could be the same. But when these things start to have an impact in your selection, impact in as many words, in the amount of money you earn, right? Eventually, it is brand building. How do you see that aspect? Because IPL today, as much as we talk about the boons of IPL, I believe we should also talk about the banes of IPL, where there are certain negative aspects, and multiple analysts in the recent past have gone out to say, you know what, you should just ban cricketers from having personal PR teams. Because nowadays, not only is it going into promoting yourself, it is going into pulling down somebody else. So, what's your take on these aspects?
See, I think now players have understood that not just the game, not just the skill, how many runs you've scored, it's important how you look and what management team you have, how many followers you have on Instagram or X. So that's been the case because IPL is a glamorous field. If you see, it's a business. You can't deny it. It's a business. People make money out of it. Players make money out of it, and it's win-win situation for all of them. And as players, they've realized that they have to survive playing in the IPL or playing for the Indian team. They have to be on top of, the attention what they want. I think PR is important at this point of time. But I personally didn't feel that I needed PR if I have to play Test cricket. Honestly, that's why I didn't play much IPL, because I didn't have the PR. Nobody was pushing me. They labeled me as a Test player, but nobody actually gave me a fair opportunity to perform in the IPL, because I was not active in social media. I was not. I didn't have a PR team. I didn't have a management team at all. But nowadays it's quite important, which is not wrong. I feel that's where cricket is heading. In any field, even in football, there are a lot of PR. There are a lot of for Cristiano, for a Messi. It's a glamorous field now. It's becoming a glamorous field. Even IPL is becoming like that. But not just cricket, not just sports. Every other field is like that. Right? Even movies, it's like that. The actors, why other actors get more preference than certain actors. You know the reasons. So I think cricket, where there's money involved, where there's heavy loads of money involved, there's always people around it.
And I mean, that's pretty much the case. Any industry, people management is a part of it.
Right, because there's money involved in it.
Exactly. But coming to you being a one-dimensional cricketer and the way that tag got attached to you, do you believe that was fair? Because you didn't play as much IPL for them to even determine whether or not you're T20 fit, right? So where does that come from? Where does that stem from? And as a player, what did you go through when you heard this time and time again that he's a test cricketer, a red ball cricketer? Because I believe there are a couple of people in the recent past, like somebody like a KL Rahul who was initially branded,
Right.
who got that opportunity to rebrand himself, change his game and evolve into a T20 player. But unfortunately, in your case, that may not have, those chances didn't come around.
Yeah.
So why did that happen? And do you hold any regrets? You already mentioned you don't hold regrets, but from that standpoint, do you hold any regrets? Could you have done anything differently in your game, anything of that sort?
Not really, because I at least in my head, I thought I was very selfless. Because whatever the team required of me, I would go out and do that exactly. If team required me to play a certain way, I used to go and try to play that certain way according to my strengths. I couldn't mix the red ball cricket and white ball cricket, because all the opportunities I've got, most of them were in red ball cricket. So I can't go there and say, even in red ball cricket, I'll try to prove that I can play with certain amount of strike
That
rate.
you can't, obviously.
I can't do that. So I didn't get an opportunity. If you look at my list A numbers and the T20 numbers, they're not that bad. If I would have got an opportunity in the IPL later of my career, where I got an opportunity very early on, I was 18, and the cricket is not as fast.
2013, if I'm not wrong? 2013?
2013. So the cricket was not as fast as it is right now. The mentality was different then. You had a player who can anchor the innings. I was given that role to anchor the innings, and I did that role perfectly. But next season I was released from the team. So there are a lot of setbacks. I didn't understand what wrong I did. Then later on I realized that there's no point in proving someone, or trying to play in a certain way that people actually again relabel me. I thought I'll just play according to my strengths, and just, even if I just play first class cricket, that's fine. I'll try to win matches for myself.
And recently I also heard you saying, Vihari, that if I had maybe played for another state, 70 or 100 tests would be a possibility. I'd like you to elaborate a little bit more on that, because I believe, as a cricket fan, as somebody who's followed cricket all my career, tried to play it also, it was a dream to have a jersey in the Indian colours. But did that come from a place of anguish? Did that come from a place of, okay, this could have been better? Where does that come from? And just a little bit of elaboration on what went through your head when you said that. Because this is important that this message is put out, so that the next generation of cricketers coming up, they're in the know-how at least of what they're expecting. I'm not expecting things to change overnight, but they at least need to know what they're getting into.
Yeah, there's no place for anguish for me. I played my last test match 2 years back. So I can't carry that kind of anguish for 2 years, right? But why I said that, I would have played 70 to 100 test matches by now. If you look at my career, if you look at the numbers, first 7 years I played for Hyderabad. Last 3 years of my Hyderabad career, the first 7 years.
You were in the top 5.
Yeah, I was in the top 5. I didn't play a South Zone game. I played one South Zone game. I got a 82, which KL Rahul got 200s in that final. I got a 80. Next season, I was not even in the Dilip Trophy squad. So I was not making it to the South Zone team after being in the top 5 in the country, after averaging around 60-65. Then I made the shift to Andhra. Then I got runs again. Then I got a South Zone opportunity. Then I got an India opportunity. So my career, the 3-4 years, actually put me behind. I made my debut at 25, where I thought in my head I could actually make my debut at 22, 23. Suppose you make the same runs for Mumbai or a Karnataka or a Delhi, you'll be highlighted more, right? At least you'll play for your zone. where you get an extra opportunity to perform. I didn't get that opportunity. So somewhere that opportunity where people get highlighted when you play a bigger state, they go to a quarterfinal, they go to a final, they get extra opportunities, they score more runs, they're more in the limelight. So once I went to Andhra, I realized it's just not my runs. I have to make the team win. We have to go to the quarterfinals, often semi-finals, or probably get to a final where people will get into a limelight. Players will get into a limelight where those performances will have more weightage than the performance you do in the league stage. So by the time I realized that, I was 22, 23. Then I got runs. Then I got transfer India. When I made my debut, I was 25. I thought I was 3 years late. Once I played for India, I played 16 test matches. 13 I played in abroad. 3 I got
in 5 positions.
In 5 positions. 13 I played in abroad. 3 I played in India. I got a 50 in India. Couple of 30s in a rank turner. Then the last test I played in England. Then I didn't play again for India. So in those 16 test matches, I was averaging around 31, 32. I don't know the exact number, which is not bad when you play 13 test matches in a same.
There were a lot of players in that team who possibly averaged a little lesser.
Yeah.
I mean, it's debatable.
So that
because
was not anguish. That was not anguish. I was practically saying with the numbers. I have the numbers to prove my point where I could have played a lot more test matches.
As a sports person, growing up, you're only told one thing. If you're good, you'll play. If you're good, you'll get selected. Right? And an important point to mention here, according to me, when you were in the top 5 in the last 3 years when you played for Hyderabad, I believe 13 to 16, you played fewer matches than those who were above you, right? I was checking your stats. I believe they played 11, 12, 13 matches while you played around max 7 to 9 matches. So you played 3 or 4 fewer matches, but almost at par with them. And your average was higher than a couple of them also. But I completely understand a lot of competition. We are a humongous population. 11 players play for the country. That is understandable. But when you say you could only play one Duleep Trophy game, that's a little shocking to me as a fan. Why do you think that happened? Because you must have had conversations with selectors, everybody, people around you. Anything you can tell us on those lines? B, as a sports person who's grown up believing all I can do is get better every day, when certain external factors start impacting your career and your, I would say, your prospects of playing for a particular team, how does that impact you mentally? Because mental strength is something that is not talked about as much in sport, and I believe it should be a mainframe thing.
See, I have gone through a lot of setbacks. And from under 19, under 16, there have been a lot of setbacks. I've seen a lot of success as well. But when I played only one match in those 3 years, I've never spoken to a selector. Even till now, I've never spoken to a selector why I was dropped, why was I not picked. I've never asked these questions anytime. Because I always believe it's not arrogance, but it's because of my mental peace or my mental strength. If they don't pick me, I feel it's their loss, not mine. If I don't think in that direction, my mental strength would actually go down.
Is it not a protocol that when you're leaving out a good player, you sort of talk to them, inform them?
Yeah, they have to. I mean, it's not a necessary. I didn't seek for an explanation. If they drop you, they drop you. They can give you a number of explanations, which I was not interested in. So when they dropped me, I was fine. It's their decision. I have to respect that. And I just kept moving on and just kept playing whatever matches I was ahead of me. But like I said, if I get dropped, I always feel I have nothing to lose.
Another juncture in your career where a lot of questions were raised on you being dropped was post-Sydney when you were dropped, when you didn't make the cut, even for the 15, forget the 11. The biggest analysts in the country came out in support and said, after Sydney, this is not what he deserved. Again, where does this come from? I mean, where does this go? Where does this come from? What were the conversations like? At least then.
Yeah, there was a conversation. I'll tell you this. I was playing a Syed Mustaq Ali tournament. The selector came up to me. There was an India tour. New Zealand was coming to India. Yes. There was a South Africa tour after that. After the Indian series, there was a South Africa tour where we have to go to South Africa. Then the selector came up to me and said, you are an important player for us in South Africa. So we want you to go with India side, prepare for the South Africa series and miss this series against New Zealand in India. Easy, right? You don't play for Indian conditions, that too against New Zealand. No disrespect to New Zealand, but that's an easy series to get runs if you're playing in the 11, especially when you're playing on good tracks. So they made another player debut. I went to South Africa, played for India. I got runs. Then I got picked again for the Indian side. I played one test match in Johannesburg where Virat got injured. I got a 40 not out in the second inning. I was dropped again for the third test match when Virat came back. So I actually played one test match in South Africa. I didn't play the Indian series. That was the explanation. That's why I say, even if they give reasons, there's...
Did you buy that though? Because did you buy that? Because as a fan, I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't buy that explanation. What else can you do? You can't do anything, but I mean, in your heart, you know, no? I mean, this is not the actual reason.
Yeah, but I have to accept and move forward. What else can I do?
Because I remember a lot of debate was also happening around the number of positions you've played in, right? Because VVS Lakshman came out in support and said it's unfair that you were opening at Melbourne, if I'm not wrong. 5 different positions. It's very important for the youngsters to also know this when they hear this. How important is a batting position? Because I believe right from your mindset to the bowlers you're going to face and the matchups which today have become a thing, you need to prepare for everything beforehand. So when you 16 tests, 5 positions from the outside, it looks like obnoxious, right? I mean, that essentially means that you haven't given the player even a fair, decent rope to get settled in the team or even have his say. Do you feel the same about yourself, that had you been given a good run in maybe one position, at least for say 5-10 matches, then there would be a turnaround? I believe 9 matches you played at number 5, that was the max you got. So what was the conversation like around your positions? Were you ever asked of your preferred position? How did that go around?
I think with the Indian team, if you're a youngster, you don't get asked, you get told. And I was happy to bat anywhere until I was playing for India. I didn't complain. You know, getting an opportunity to play for the country, you bat in any position, they say, and you try to cement your place, then maybe probably you get the right to ask where you want to play. But unfortunately, I didn't cement my place. Whether it's right or wrong, whether I got the right opportunities or not, I didn't cement my place. I should have converted more 30s into maybe 50s and 100s. Even if it's abroad, I had the ability, I didn't do it. Maybe luck plays a part there, but I wouldn't blame it on luck. But yeah, that's how it goes when you're playing for your country. That too, when you're playing for India, where there's a lot of competition, you don't really complain. I didn't have a conversation about my number as such, but it would have been ideal for me to play in a certain number for a longer period. A longer rope would have been nice, and maybe I would have proven myself better, but that's past.
Beyond talent, if today a youngster who's coming up wants to be successful, play for the country, make a name for himself, obviously eventually earn something. Beyond talent, what all aspects do you think a youngster should focus on? Because you can't just learn these things overnight, right? Once you're already 21, 22, I believe your learning capabilities also deteriorate as you age.
Right? Yeah. That's how the game is going. That's where the game is going. I think, like we spoken earlier as well, you know, game is going towards a commercial aspect. There's a commercial aspect to the game. People still love to watch Test cricket, but people will buy tickets and watch an IPL game. They won't want to buy tickets and watch a Test match. Maybe they will, but not as enthusiastically as they want to watch an IPL game. I think that's where the game is heading towards. It's more towards franchisee cricket, more towards T20 cricket. And youngsters growing up, they don't want to defend, they don't want to leave a ball, they want to hit a 6 on the first ball. And that's where the game is going. They want to, especially the parents will like to see where the PR goes, whom to meet, what to be.
Today we also see the families being very active.
Right. That's where the game is going. And there's nothing called right or wrong, it's their own perspective.
Got it. Coming to one controversy that you were at the center of, the Andhra Cricket Association controversy. I'm sure everything is in public domain. We heard the story, etc. But what is something that I want to focus upon is when you say there is political interference. Obviously, the questions will be asked with the biggest man in the state, because eventually that's the party in question, in this case, the YSRCP, right? And obviously, you issued a statement recently as well that you will go back to playing for Andhra Pradesh. What sort of exercising political power did you notice? Because there was a lot of back and forth in terms of allegations, right? You put out a version post which that specific cricketer, I don't even want to take the name at this point in time, his father comes out and levels a lot of very serious allegations against you. The Andhra Cricket Association comes out with an entire statement, but you proved your point by submitting a letter signed by all the players. So obviously, if within 15, 14 are picking your side, then there is some merit to what you're saying. But in going into the conversations and the nitty-gritties of what exactly happened, Can you tell us how it all unfolded? And when did you get to know what were the conversations like? Because I'm sure during this juncture, at least, there were a lot of serious conversations that happened. You must have gotten to know that they received a complaint. What was it like? If you can just tell us how it unfolded, the entire episode.
Yeah, so we were playing Bengal in Vizag, and I think it was around it was the first day where during the tea time, the player was not in the 15. So once you're not in the 15, you're not allowed to come into the dressing room even in the breaks. We didn't bowl well. I was having a go at the bowlers, which is quite normal in cricketing. Feel you know, captains, they shout at the bowlers, and so once I was turning and going to the restroom, I saw him and I said, I said something to him which is not personal at all. In the heat of the moment, I said a few things and I went to the restroom. But that player obviously got hurt and he complained to his father. Father, being in the political background, he complained to the secretary saying that my son has been treated this way by the captain. And actually, I got to know after the match, they called me to the office or the secretary's office, and they wanted me to resign from captaincy. They said, we've been receiving complaints, and I think.
And this was a secretary, the then secretary of ACA who you're talking about. Okay.
And I said, we just won a game. I took the team to the quarterfinals the year before. We just won a game against Bengal chasing 400. And I said, what's the reason for me to resign? They said, there's a lot of indisciplinary actions. I think that's the reason why you have to resign. I took my time. I said, okay. And I said, I took my time. I knew it was getting political because there was a lot of political interference because of his father complaining, and the secretary himself belongs to a political, background.
He's affiliated.
Yeah, affiliated. Yeah. And I tried to contact a lot of politicians at that time because it already became political. I tried to contact a lot of MPs, MLAs from YCP. I never asked anyone for help in my cricketing career, but I had to because I'm
sorry, I don't want to push you here, but because this is very important, a lot of false narratives have been spun. I want you to clarify this. If you're okay with it, can you just tell us, I'm not saying name everybody, can you just tell us a few personalities who were involved who maybe you wanted help from at that point in time for the first time, but you did not receive?
I wanted directly help from the CM if I could, but I went to MPs. I don't want to name. I don't know whether they remember this or not because it was just before the elections. They were busy as well. It was a very small issue for them, but I did it because for the love of Andhra cricket. Because I knew if I captained the side, we could make something that year because we prepared well. We had a side to become champions. I invested a lot in Andhra cricket, and it was not fair because I did nothing wrong for them to remove me from captaincy. I tried my bit. It didn't happen. Then after 3 days, they threatened that if you don't resign, then we'll remove you from the team. Then I had to resign because I just wanted to finish the season. I spoke to my family, and even my mom said, just resign, just continue to play. We'll see end of the season what we want to do. I resigned, and then I played the whole season. We went to the quarterfinals. We lost a close game against Madhya Pradesh. Once the match was over, in half an hour, I spoke to my mom and I said, I'm putting it on Instagram. I'm not against any party here. I'm against the association which didn't treat me well. For the player who's given his service to Andhra cricket, who got runs, who
5 knockouts in 7 years.
Yeah, which was no mean feat. Never before.
I'm coming from Andhra. Had it been a Mumbai,
that's a normal thing, but never in Andhra cricketing history they've gone to quarterfinals or semi-finals so many times. I took them to the knockout stages many times. I got runs for them. I played for India from Andhra, and to treat a test player like that, I didn't feel it was fair. I lost a lot of self-respect there, and
it's almost like a state player not playing for his school. I mean, it's like that.
Yeah.
But coming back to the specifics once again, so like you said, you wanted help from the Chief Minister. During that time, was there any communication between you and the big man himself? Because I'll tell you where I'm coming from. It is foolish on a journalist's part like me to think he didn't know of this. Because obviously, when you're the head of the state, you get to know most things that are happening, especially when your party is being named in the controversy, right? So at that point, abstaining from interfering is also seen as you being compliant.
See, I tried to get in touch with him. I couldn't get the appointment, or I couldn't talk to him.
You seek disappointment.
Yeah, I actually spoke. I went through another. I didn't speak to his PA or someone directly, but I tried to get connections to talk to him, but I couldn't. I couldn't reach out to him in those couple of days. Maybe it's because of the elections time or whatever the reason might be, but I couldn't get through to talk to him. And it was I when I posted that on Instagram as well. It was not nothing to do politically. It became political after that, but I was against the association which didn't treat me well, which where I lost a lot of self-respect is what I told in that statement as well. But obviously, because of the elections time or whatever, because YCP was affiliated in the association, there were a lot of members who are involved in the association. It became political, and other parties, you know, they saw an opportunity, and it gained a lot of attention, which I didn't want. I just wanted to put out a statement that this has happened to me, and it was wrong. I lost a lot of self-respect, and I stood up for myself. That is the whole point of it.
Coming to the allegations leveled at you in return, right? Because unfortunately, the media covers a controversy, but when it reaches a logical conclusion and the allegations are washed away, it does not get the same kind of coverage, right? Just for the benefit of viewers sitting up north, beyond Telugu states, I'd like you to answer this. 2 or 3 very serious allegations leveled at you. One, they went on to say that such behavior is not something that is new coming in from Vihari. He's been known to be an aggressive person, somebody who hurls a lot of abuses, etc. And even that letter that your teammates wrote, I believe they said this is all normal in the team environment, right? Second aspect is they went to the extent of, claiming that you were into substance abuse out of everything, being an athlete yourself. Some names of substances, and these are very serious allegations. And man, personally, as somebody who's played a tad bit of cricket myself, I can say this. Somebody who's into that cannot hold fitness levels to be able to play for the country, cannot pass the yo-yo test. I know that for sure. So when this started coming your way, it started seeming like an absolute witch hunt, right? So did you at any point feel, I am caught in the crossfire between two political entities, and where is all of this even coming from? Because it's very hard to take for a human being.
No, I didn't really care about what they were saying because I had to put up a point, and I did. Whatever they were saying, they were just trying to cover up their own thing. And first thing, my behavior, my aggressive behavior, that same captaincy has got them accolades. I've got them to the quarterfinals, semi-finals a lot of times. If I didn't behave that way, I couldn't get the best out of the players. I'm not an aggressive person by nature, only because on field I have to get the best out of the players. Sometimes I had to behave in certain manner, which all players, all captains go through. It's not something new. It's been happening from a lot of years. And if they want to put out that point, they've not played cricket as much as I did, or as much cricket I have seen, they've not seen cricket. Probably they've come from a different field. That is what has happened exactly. Because if they want to put an allegation on an Indian player who's played certain number of test matches for India, certain number of first-class cricket for last 15 years, and they want to put an allegation saying he's using substance, then what the dope test is all about, what is fitness test all about? How can I even hold a bat if I'm using such substances? They're just putting whatever allegations they were trying to put, whatever allegations they want, just to cover up the whole scenario.
Another thing that in fact the association came out and said was he always didn't play for Andhra. He played the first 6 years for Hyderabad, and even when only 2016 he started playing for Andhra, even when he was playing for Andhra, he was trying to play for other teams, etc. My only point is, as a cricketer, if this year you're playing for Andhra, I believe that's all the management needs to be bothered about, right? If not,
exactly. And I was born in Andhra. I had every right to play for Andhra, and I was playing as a local. I didn't play as a professional. I didn't take an 1 rupee extra from Andhra, where they can say that, he's not been an Andhra player. I was born in Andhra. I have every right.
You're from Kakinada.
Yeah, I was born in Kakinada. My mother, their ancestors are from close to Vijayawada. So I have every right to play for Andhra as much as the other player does. And who are they to tell me that I'm not from Andhra, I'm not playing for Andhra? I've got so many runs for them. When I was doing well, when I was their good student or good player, they were proud of me, saying that, he's from Andhra, he's played test cricket from Andhra. When things were not, they think was right, and they're saying he's not from Andhra, he's from Hyderabad. I was playing for Hyderabad because from young, when I was 9 years old, I was trained here, so I was having the right to play for Hyderabad. When I did for 6-7 years, they called me to Andhra. I didn't move to Andhra because I wanted to. They called me. They invited me to play for Andhra. I went to Andhra. I made all the effort. I put my heart into Andhra cricket. And when they disrespected me, I put the statement out, which I thought was not wrong at all.
Not wrong at all. I mean, you just spoke your heart out, and respect for the fact that you did that while you were still actively playing. I've seen a lot of cricketers come out and speak about such things, but they do it mostly after they retire or they do have nothing to do with the association anymore. But how tough is it when you were contemplating putting this statement out? I'm sure there were a few inhibitions in your head. If I put this out, what's going to happen? Will they go against me? Will I get to play again? Etc. etc. They also troubled you with the NOC. How tough was that call? And how tough is that call generally for cricketers nowadays? Because the minute you put something out on social media, it is hijacked by everybody driving their own agenda, etc. So how tough was that call to take that, okay, let me take this gamble, let me put this out, see where this goes?
See, there's no gamble at all. I won't encourage anyone or youngsters to get into controversies or put out a statement against their own association. But for me, as a person, for me, self-respect is beyond game as well. You know, if you are a person who believes that you put your self-respect above anything else, and I have not asked anyone for help for my career. I've not spoken to someone, push me here, try to give me an opportunity there. I've always come up, my mom always taught me to have that self-respect above anything. Game will come, it will give you a lot of money, it will give you a lot of fame. But end of the day, as a person, if you don't have your values, if you don't have your ethics right, I don't think you're leading a good life. That's what I thought. You know, what happened with me, because it was not about ego at all. It was about my self-respect. I did nothing wrong in that situation. I gave everything for the side. I believe that was right in that situation. As a leader, I got the result for the team. End of the day, association has to see what results he's got for us. And whether the players are respecting him, are they on the same side, are they on the same page? Yeah, one or two will be there who might not be on the same page, but majority. You see, the majority of the players, they were on the same side. As an association, you have to see that rather than seeing in a political way, where if a political party or the person who is involved in politics can actually damage a reputation of an Indian player, if it comes down to that stage, yeah, then ego will take over. That's where it hurt me. And the self-respect with a certain level of ego, I put out a statement.
And the most disappointing thing as a fan, right? Like I told you, I followed your journey through years. You were a beacon of hope for a lot of young cricketers. I remember playing from Hyderabad, who at one point felt it was almost impossible once again to play for India, right? But the most disappointing thing for a lot of viewers and youngsters was the aspects of caste and everything coming in. I mean, it was all we could almost see cricket becoming as murky as today's politics, right? Is that okay? You've played at multiple levels: language, caste, color, creed. Have you seen these aspects at any level influencing dressing rooms at any point in time?
Yeah, every level. I mean, right down from the under-13s to playing for the country. You see, I mean, it's become a normal now. It's a stat. Saying this, I feel bad, but no, that's the reality. And not just in sports, but every day in our life, you see people will make a racist comment just easily. You know, they just pass a racist comment. So it's not just in sports; it's there in everyday life. I think, especially where there's money involved, there's a lot of corruption there, a lot of politics, a lot of caste card, a lot of big states coming to push their players. Even in the IPL, a lot of PR. So we've been seeing this for a lot of years. I think I've come to a stage where I just put it aside and just move on in life.
Man, you're making a lot of bold statements. I have to respect that because you still aim to play for the country again. So coming from a person like you, I true respect, because a lot of people would be scared. A lot of people.
What is there to be scared of? See, if I get an opportunity to play for the country again, I'll be privileged. Even if I don't, I still lead my life. I have come to a stage where I accept things the way they are, and you have to say things the way you see.
It takes a lot of maturity or out of balance to even be this way, right? Because there is always that urge of, maybe if I don't make this statement, I have a better chance. Maybe if I don't say this, I have a better chance.
I said again, I don't want anyone to give me an opportunity. I have to earn my opportunity. Exactly. And if I earn my opportunity and people think I still deserve to play for the country, I will. Otherwise, I still have a happy life. I'll still be happy with what I have in life, and I have no complaints at all.
So, a personal experience. I'll just like to tell me if you faced something similar when you were either in the Indian dressing room or the South Zone dressing room. So, when we go up north, especially to Mumbai, Delhi, to report, to cover stories, or to be on the field, etc., there are a lot of stereotypes attached to South India in general, right? I've seen instances, and I've been called a Madrasi myself so many times, despite 100 times telling people, dude, there's 5 states in South India, 4 languages, and all of that, right? So, over and above the stereotypes, I believe these stem from a lack of awareness about South Indian culture, the language, and all of that. Obviously, we brought up in different ways. Our definitions of lives are very different. At any point in time, has there been an incident during the course of your career while playing for India where you saw this thin line of discrimination ever?
It's not happened directly, but the atmosphere is such, even in the Indian side or even in the South Zone. Not in the South Zone. If you're playing for South Zone, it's different. But when you're playing, we used to have a zonal tournament where all players would be mixed. Especially my personal experience, I used to have the inferiority complex where they always, even in the dressing room, they have their own vibe,
and predominantly a lot of them are very loud.
Yeah, they are loud. Nothing wrong with that, but especially the South states, we are born and brought up in such a way that we are more calm. We try to be more within ourselves. So I was behaving that way. I was more into myself.
Was that ever held against you?
Yeah, maybe. Sometimes you fake it till you make it, they say, but I couldn't do that, and I was within myself. So maybe it would have gone against me, but that's something which I don't think.
Now, the reason I ask, the social aspect is also an aspect, right? I mean, accept it or no, the more you mingle with people, I believe they're more prone to favoring you than any other person. But we've also seen a lot of characters in cricket, like Mr. Navjot Singh Sidhu. I've heard stories about him being a very silent, shy person when he was playing. Eventually, after he retires, he becomes this TV celebrity and all of that. But the reason I'm pushing a little bit on an answer on this is because there's this huge debate in this country, and I'm not going the political route, right? When you see citizens of the country having problems with adopting a particular language or another language, this sparks a lot of debate around, is this industry agnostic? Does every industry have this deep within itself instilled into the particular individuals who are handling the industry? Because, for example, somebody being able to speak Hindi, a very simple thing, right? It helps you mingle with others. Do these aspects also at some point influence selection? That's where I'm getting at, right? I understand not being accepted socially. I understand somebody maybe doesn't prefer chilling with you after the match. All that is fine. Those are social aspects. But at any point, do you feel this also impacts selection or your prospects?
It depends on people who are selecting, and depends on the captain a lot. I've been captaining Andhra for a long time. I've had players who are very close to me, but it didn't influence my selection at all, not one bit. I dropped a lot of times. I dropped players who were very close to me. If I had to select another player, I did it if it was helping the team. So it comes down to the players and the selectors who are selecting the team, and players or captain who's selecting the 11. So if they think in that direction where what team needs and what will benefit that side, I don't think it will make a big difference. But if there is 1% chance where they think that maybe he should get an extra opportunity because he's nice to us, that's where the 1% chance goes.
Because this is nothing new to us. As fans, when we see IPL, okay, before getting to that, you've played under a lot of captains, right? A stark difference, or rather, who's your favorite captain to play under, who's supported you the most, or any other experience you can share with us. Secondly, also please include Ajinkya Rahane as a part of this, because I believe he played a crucial role in providing a highlight for you. So who was your favorite captain, and what is the difference between each of the captains that you've played under?
Yeah, so I played a lot under Virat in those 16 tests. A majority of the matches I played under Virat. So the thing with him is you see him on TV, on the field, you find him a lot intimidating, especially for the opponents. Even for your own side, when he's there on the field, that presence is felt, right? So you get pumped up, you get motivated. That's the kind of effect he's got on the Indian side. And He's been the torchbearer for Indian cricket, especially in the Test format. He's been one of the best captains for India, if not the best in Test format, especially when we are traveling abroad. The records also suggest the same. I played under Ajinkya for 3 Test matches. No, 2 Test matches. I got injured in the last Test. But the amount of calmness he carries, and the planning and the execution and the belief, the trust he shows on the bowlers, I think he's exemplary, and that's why he got the results that he did. Rohit is a different captain altogether. He's quite chilled out, but at the same time, he does all the planning. He does all the behind work with the analysts, and he makes a lot of make sure he's well prepared before going into the match, and he supports his players a lot as well. And I because I played a lot under Virat, and he's given me the opportunity to play for the country. There's 1% extra bonus, yeah, on Virat.
But how do you respond when somebody like Mr. Ambati Raidu comes out and says, or his friends at least come out and say that he was excluded from teams at certain points only because Virat didn't like him personally? I mean, a lot of allegations have been leveled at Virat, the human being, not the cricketer.
Yeah.
Nobody can deny the fact that he's the greatest chaser that the game has ever seen.
Yeah.
Nobody can deny the fact that one of the best batsmen the game has ever seen. But beyond talent, there have been a lot of question marks being raised on the kind of human being he is and the kind of influence he's had on the dressing room, right? What is your take on that? Because on a man like that, a target of that stature could mean a lot of things.
Yeah, see, as a captain, you have a lot of choices, especially with players. When you're going to a World Cup, you can choose X player. You can't choose. Maybe you feel that he'll add more value when you're touring somewhere, and when you're playing a World Cup. It's totally captain's choice. Coach and selector, they sit together. If it comes down to one player where they have a dilemma, it comes down to the captain who he wants to select. And it's nothing wrong in it. And some players feel disappointed, they talk. But end of the day, the captain will make a decision and he'll stand up to his own decisions. He'll be accountable for his own decisions. And some people like it, some people don't. When they don't like it, they put allegations that is that person, this person.
So as far as you've seen, it was never personal. It was.
I don't think it's personal. When you're playing for the country, there's nothing personal there. Because when you're a captain, you want to win matches for your country. That's the primary goal. Any captain would say that, my player should not play in the 11, this player should not play in the 11. That doesn't happen like that. If it happens, then many great players wouldn't have played in the same side. Because we've known in the past, players don't gel together, but still they play together.
83 for that matter.
Yeah, still play together because we are playing for one country. We are not playing for 2 countries there. So I don't think a captain would say, I'll play my player. Even if he loses, it's okay. It won't happen that way. If he feels that the player, I don't like him, but still I want him in the side because he adds value, he'll still prefer that player.
Right. Coming to the IPL, 3-4 controversies that I'd want your take on. One, there was this trend, and this I would like you to bust the myth, if it is a myth according to you. There's this trend that people have observed that when Mr. Mahendra Singh Dhoni is the captain of the Indian team, there's this barrage of CSK players playing for India. When Virat is the captain, there's barrage of RCB players. And with Rohit Sharma, maybe we cannot say it as much because by the time, I believe a lot of Mumbai Indians players were already India players, right? They had almost Indian 11 there. Is this familiarity quotient a factor? And do you believe playing for a particular IPL team can also help your chances in the Indian team?
I think it's not a factor at all. It comes down to performance, end of the day. See, there are a lot of analysts there, a lot of people in the media. They sit and observe every single performance of every player. The numbers won't lie. If a certain player is getting picked, there will be numbers behind that player. To prove a fact, maybe if both players have similar numbers, that's where maybe the captain with his familiarity, because you've seen that player for a longer time, he'll choose that player. But unless he has that numbers, no captain would go up and ask the selector, I want this player. It won't happen like that. The familiarity of the player would come when they're similar players, and when you have to choose a player, maybe
similar performance, same level.
There maybe that player would get a slight advantage there. But I don't think playing for a certain franchise will add an extra value to get into an Indian side. I don't believe in that. You can play for any franchise and still get picked for the Indian side if you're good enough.
And one thing running on social media nowadays, I know you're staying away from it, but I'd like to brief a couple of aspects of what's running in the social media. So recently, I believe when something happened with the Mumbai Indians match, Ashwin had said something like, either they're lucky or something's happening because they always get favored, right? Does that happen in the IPL? In any way?
Not, I think he must have said it in a very lighter
It was a lighter note, but somehow people twisted it to be.
Yeah. Because that's, I heard that was running in the social media at that point. So he just wanted to just give it a little more masala there, but people took it in a wrong direction. But it doesn't happen. Come on, you're playing the biggest league in the world, and there's no allegations. You can't even put an allegation on that.
Before we get into some fun stuff, two serious topics that I'd like you to address. One, again, me or you or anybody in this world is not the right person to tell anybody when to retire, when not to retire. It's their personal call. And I believe that man has played enough cricket that he decides. I'm talking about Mr. Mahendra Singh Dhoni. This time around, considering a couple of CSK matches, a lot was being spoken about. Was 23 the right time to exit? Now is he being counterproductive to the team because he wasn't able to score at the run rate or the strike rate that was needed at that point in time in a couple of matches. What's your take as a cricketer, as a professional? Please put aside your maybe your personal bond. As a pragmatic, objective cricketer or an analyst, if you look at that team today, because obviously now everybody's talking about this because of the results they've got. Had they won the IPL, I'm sure nobody would have spoken about it. But what is your take on this? Because there's been a lot of chatter around, is it one more year? For how long? A lot of that being said.
See, there are two things to it. If you look at the commercial part of it, if you look at the business part of it, Dhoni can play until whatever age it is because he brings the crowd, he pulls the crowd, he sells tickets. Chepauk will get full for Dhoni to just enter into
all he needs to do is walk in.
Right. So the commercial part, Dhoni can play whatever. So CSK as a franchisee also, they wouldn't complain until they'll let him play whatever age it is. But if you look at the cricketing part, is he adding the same value what he used to add in the past?
Evidently not.
He would himself say no. T20, especially this year, if you see, it's gone towards Gen Bolt. Like a lot of bold cricketers are coming and playing bold cricket. CSK lost their season in the first 4-5 games where they took the old pattern of playing CSK way, just waited time and they thought they'll accelerate later. But Dhoni was not the same Dhoni which he was before. He was not walking in the 12th over, he was walking in the 17th over. They had no finishers there. Shivam Dube was off color altogether. So they had no finish.
I believe Shivam Dube was also playing far up than a finisher.
He had to. So I believe the balance of the team somewhere, they lost it. I'm not saying just because of Dhoni, but Dhoni not coming up the order because he can't run. That's a fact now because he's 43, he'll be 44 next season. As an analyst, if you look at cricket, if you're watching cricket for a long time, it's a professional sport. Playing in the IPL, you have your limitations. He keeps well against spinners, but fast bowlers, he's still struggling. He's struggling now. You can see that. So as a cricketing point of view, I think it'll be best for Dhoni maybe if he comes as a mentor and still be there with the CSK setup. But as a cricketer, I doubt he's got one more year.
Right. The reason I ask you again, there were also these questions about if he can't run and if his knees obviously have given up, then how can he keep for 20 overs? Is that because you've played professionally at the highest level? Is that a valid question to ask?
Yeah, 100%. But in a 20-over game, how many balls go to the wicketkeeper? Maybe 10, 12, 15. We have to look at the average number of balls. How many balls actually the wicketkeeper collects? For spinners, he's got no problem. You've seen he's still got the best stance in the business. But against fast bowlers, when he has to move towards the sides, that's where the struggle begins for him. But credit to him, he's been playing for so many years, still got the passion to play for CSK. But I think in his head also, I believe he knows that in a cricketing point of view, it's done. But maybe in a commercial point of view, maybe if he still wants to keep going for CSK, maybe.
No, that's the franchise's call and his call. None of us are experts to comment on him. But as a fan, as a CSK fan, a lot of guys have come around and said this, that if they saw a professional who was a finisher at the world-class level right now playing at that spot, more than a couple of results could have gone CSK's way.
100%. And the stats also say that. From 2024, if you see the numbers, Dhoni in a winning cause, he scored 3 sixes. In a losing cause, he scored 18 sixes. So even the fans are realizing that the match is well beyond over when he comes
when he
and
starts
also
hitting.
starts hitting. So that's where the trouble begins. Yeah, obviously it will be nice to see Dhoni playing till 50 or whatever. But until and unless even the fans, they don't see the team winning, they'll also not support till that. Even they'll realize eventually the team has to win. They can't come 10th in the table. That's the worst they've come, CSK, in the history of IPL. So if they've been mid-table also, the questions wouldn't have been asked about Dhoni.
As vocally as
Yeah, right. But because they are 10th in the table, the questions being asked.
And another aspect now is Arjun Tendulkar. Okay, the reason I ask you this, when we see your journey, when we see the journeys of a lot of other people who I believe could not get a decent run in the Indian Premier League, when somebody is called back, with Ajinkya, it was very evident that they were looking for a captain, right? Had it not been for the captaincy, maybe that wouldn't have been the case because they passed him the first time. When he's called back and bought each time, there is obviously this question of where is this coming from, because he didn't play a single game the entire season, and it's not like they didn't need bowlers. They needed bowlers and they always had reserves that they used. So, would it be right to say that the surname at some point is playing a role?
Maybe it does. He's not a bad cricketer. He's got something in him, but at the same time,
They are much better cricketers.
Yeah, 100%. But he's got some privileges which runs in every field. You tell me one field it doesn't. It runs in politics, it runs in movies, it's running in cricket also. So it's nothing wrong in it. He has a privilege. He's not asked for it. He's got the privilege by birth, and somehow he's getting the opportunity. So I think the debate ends there. You know, if it's not running in any other field and it's just happening in cricket or in sports, that's where the debate starts. But it's running everywhere. You tell me one field where it's not running.
I mean, I would agree. Be it politics, be it journalism, be it anything, right? If today I'm a politician's son, I get more access to do podcasts with more politicians. It's as simple as that. I wouldn't deny that. But the fact that it is a factor is something that needs to be accepted. I mean, why hide it behind the guard, right? There's no point. Because now it's almost become very evident where it's public notice now. Coming to Sanju Samson and Shreyas Iyer, two people that I would love to talk to you about. I believe you played with them as well. Sanju and you played junior level cricket together, if I'm not wrong. Again, lack of PR, what would you say? The reason is, I mean, after a point, we started saying, what else should he have done to come into the prospects, to come into the team, and to be, finally, yes, he's getting that run as an opener, but at the fag end of his, I think, physical ability. Because now he's old, and he's not the same Sanju that he possibly was when he was 25.
Maybe, possibly, but so the case with Sanju, yeah, he's got limited opportunities, no doubt about it. But there's always a case, even in the IPL, not in the last couple of years, but before that, there was a lot of inconsistency in his performance. One brilliant innings, and then there's a lot of low scores, and then again another brilliant innings. There were a lot of people saying there's a lot of inconsistent scores, but there are a lot of players as well who played for India with inconsistent scores as well. So different benchmarks or criteria for different players. That's the state of it, you know, because there are a lot of cricketers in India where you can't justify the talent which they have with the chances they get. That's an unfortunate situation. Because of IPL, there are a lot of players coming up in white ball cricket, especially. Even in the future, you see, you can't really say why was he dropped from the Indian T20 squad, because there are a lot of players still waiting.
We just spoil for choices.
Yeah, right. And it will be a big headache for the selectors too, whom to choose, whom not to choose.
Because one of the questions being raised at that point was, when you take somebody like a debutant to a Champions Trophy, somebody like a Yashasvi Jaiswal, who has always been a regular in the T20 format but not the ODI. When you do that, questions are raised. And then a lot of questions were also being raised about, would you ever dare to do that with a cricketer from, say, a Tamil Nadu or a Hyderabad or a Karnataka, right? Then the same analyst would get up and question saying, how can a debutant be introduced into the Champions Trophy? The same with Shreyas Iyer. Do you believe he's in the running for to be the next white ball captain in any way?
Yeah, I think he should be the next white ball captain, no doubts about it. Because if you see his captaincy record, even in the IPL, the last year he was captaining KKR to a championship. This year he took Punjab Kings to a final. He's the first captain to take 3 different franchises to a final. That itself tells what kind of a leader he is. He's calm, he's got the persona. So I think if India doesn't make him white ball captain, it's a loss for India. It's not a loss for Shreyas. He'll still play for.
But
the
when you see
country.
that happening, because so Sky has just gotten his tenure. 26, we're looking at the T20 World Cup. If you were to make that choice, when do you see
I think
that?
the one days.
Good.
One days is where Shreyas has to start captaining for India. If Rohit decides he wants to play 2027 World Cup, then be it. Otherwise, I think it's time for Shreyas to take over that white ball format.
Do you see Virat and Rohit still having the metal for
I
27?
thought Virat can go another cycle in the test format, but he chose not to. So we can't predict anything what they are thinking. It's their personal decision. They've served India for a long time. I think they deserve to have their own choice. But 2027, because they're just playing one format, maybe they still want to push for that World Cup because they've not won from since 2011. So they've missed out on 2023. So probably because they're playing only one format, they just want to push for another World Cup.
But coming to two things, before again, I'm sorry I'm dealing the fun aspect a lot, but I have a lot of questions to ask you as a Hyderabadi. One question that we always had. When you look at CSK, there is this fanaticism and fandom that is associated to CSK. When you look at Mumbai, when you look at RCB, an unfortunate incident happened this time, but their fandom is like up there. But when it comes to Hyderabad, somehow not a lot of us get that feeling of, this is our team, or there's never that psychophancy around that team. You see the same with the crowds, you see the same. Why do you think that's the case? Is it because of, local cricketers not being there? Is it because of, them not creating that environment as such, right? Where does this come from? And the second aspect I want you to comment on is the way Warner was treated. Because as fans, a lot of us got pissed off. So these two aspects, what is your take?
I think the fans are slowly building for Sunrise Hyderabad because of the brand of cricket they've been playing for the last last year. But the reason why they didn't have a big fandom like RCB and CSK and Mumbai to an extent, because of the icon players, especially from the Indian team. If you have an icon player like a Virat Kohli or a Mahendra Singh Dhoni or a Rohit Sharma in that caliber, then obviously the fans, they themselves will carry 70-80% of the fans coming to the stadium. But SRH, if you see historically, there are foreign players who are stars, but foreign players can't really pull fans. The Indian superstars who can pull fans, where SRH lacked. You tell me the big name from SRH who played for the last 10 years. There's no one. So that's the reason why the fandom, the craze fans. People will still go and watch a match in Upal Stadium, but they won't rave about Sunrise Hyderabad team, which RCB has been doing from the last 18 years, majorly because of Virat Kohli. So that player was missing for SRH.
Right. With respect to Warner?
Yeah, in respect to Warner, see what happened inside the dressing room or what happened with the owner and David Warner, we don't exactly know. But actually, it was sad to see him sit out of the team and watch him wearing bibs and carrying water bottles, which was not nice to see. Maybe after the tournament ended, if they wanted to split part ways, that was still okay. But in between the tournament, watching him get dropped and carrying drinks was sad to see.
A couple of aspects lastly, and I assure this is my last question. Two things. So one is with Rabada's incident, a very serious issue in sport has come up, right? Because normally doping and cricket are not really associated or used in the same line together. It's mostly athletics and mostly it's performance enhancing drugs, not even recreational drugs. During the course of your career, I mean, we also saw Prithvi face the wrath because he was tested positive for one particular substance. During the course of your career, have you seen, substance and cricket going hand in hand anywhere? And I'd also like you to comment on the age scam factor. The reason is, I mean, irrespective of whether he's 13, 14, 15, I believe for the way he played, that man deserves respect, right? So this is the minute a 13 or a 14-year-old comes up and does something, we're very quick to pounce on him and say, a 14-year-old definitely cannot do this. A 14-year-old cannot have the strength to do this. So these two aspects, I just want you to comment right from a junior level. Do you see this being inculcated into them during the junior level?
I think the substance point of view, I think cricket and substance, they don't go in hand in hand because athletes are very disciplined. They know what they have to do. It's very rare incidents where these things happen, but I don't think I have not seen it before. Honestly, I have not come across it. And coming to the age factor, I think it used to happen before a lot, but I think now even the tests they do in BCCI, the age group test with a bone test, and it's become quite serious now. They are very serious about it. And I've seen incidents where in the past people, even in the World Cup, under 19 World Cup, people get disallowed to go because of the age factor.
Yes.
You know, they've tested at the last
We've
minute.
had a lot of players in Hyderabad.
Right. So they've become a lot stricter nowadays. So I don't think that is a factor as well, changing age and what it used to be before. It's not the same case now.
So I'd now like to begin with the fun section, just a rapid fire. Give me answer in the shortest form possible. One is, who was the most funniest teammate you ever played with for India? B, the naughtiest. By naughty, I mean somebody who's always pulling these pranks in the dressing room and all. Both.
Both Rishabh.
Now I've actually heard that name a lot.
Yeah.
Any story you can tell us?
He always does pranks. He's the loudest guy in the room, even in the groups.
He managed to trouble a silent guy like you as well.
I mean, he doesn't trouble me as such because I don't react to him. But if someone reacts to him, then he troubles them. But so he's always funny. He's that character in the team.
Two things. Who do you think is the most underrated cricketer that you have come across during the course of your career? One, the one you played with. One, forever for India, according to you. And who do you think is the most overrated player?
I think one is Bhuvneshwar Kumar.
Most underrated, you mean?
Because he's such kind of a person. He brings a lot of value to the team, but is very underrated. Not many people talk about him. I can't really say overrated because people work hard to come there. When you don't play for India, if you don't have the skill. So that's a question which I want to avoid. I don't.
Okay, fair enough. Who do you think is the most flamboyant? I mean, carries is the most stylish, flamboyant.
So stylish and flamboyant can't go hand in hand.
Flamboyant nowadays is used as a negative connotation, I get it. But
Yeah.
most flamboyant and most stylish. Two names.
Flamboyant, I would say again Rishabh Pant. He has that platinum chain. He wears the thick chain.
I don't care, sort of a thing.
Thick bracelet, and he plays. He goes to the ground wearing those wearing the bracelet and all. Stylish, I would say KL Rahul is quite stylish. He carries himself really well.
Out of all of these players, who's that party animal? Who loves party?
Hardik
Pandya.
Yeah, Hardik, he's got that vibe, isn't he? He loves a party.
And after playing for the country, I mean, I'm sure you also, growing up, you also looked up to a lot of these players that you've played with, right? One person who you thought of differently and maybe ended up differently, and I don't mean this negatively, it could be positive also.
Yeah, it was quite positive. I think Virat, the way you see on the ground or on TV, the aggressive Virat, but once you know him off field, he's quite gentle, he's quite approachable, and he's quite humble as well for the amount of achievements he's got in his career. So he's very down to earth. So people, unless you go and meet them, unless you know them, you can't really judge what they are.
Who's the toughest guy to discipline? As in, I'm sure when you guys went on tours and all of that, you have these chances of going out
Ishan Kishan.
Ishan Kishan.
Yeah, he likes to create trouble. He's that kind of a person. He enjoys life. He has his own ways, but he's always that mischief.
Any story you can tell us? A leak?
I don't remember stories, but he's that kind of a person. Very chirpy, very fun-loving kind of person.
Again, just to take you off track a little bit from the rapid fire, what he's been through in the past couple of years or 3 years, is it because of the sheer competition, or was there an attitude issue?
I don't think there's an attitude issue. Maybe what happened internally, I don't know, but I think it's a competition. There's a lot of competition in the white ball team, especially, but red ball, when Rishabh Pant came back, obviously he had to lose his spot. And there was controversies about his BCCI contract and stuff like that. But what happened internally, I don't really know. But he's always been that nice guy. He's not someone who will create a lot of trouble for himself, at least. So I don't know. With the internal issues, I don't really know. But with cricket aspect, I think it's because of the competition.
The closest of friends you've made in your cricketing journey, and also give me names of those cricketers. Again, not to judge them or anything, who you looked at and said, okay, maybe these are people I play with, but I don't mingle with. Or in my personal life, I don't really mingle with them. None? None. So you don't have cricket friends at all?
No.
Why?
I'm that kind of a person. I just go there, play, enjoy it on the field. I come back, I have my own set of friends, very few friends. I have a small circle. I enjoy my time with family.
Most of them are from your younger years, I believe.
I don't have many friends. I have few friends, but I enjoy my time with family. That's all.
The best moment of your career?
Getting the test cap.
Got it. You got it from?
Virat Kohli.
You got it from Virat Kohli. Got it. And one moment in your life or your cricketing career that you feel changed you as a human being?
I think the birth of my son calmed me even more. I've seen different perspective of life after that. I was always a calm person off the field, but once you have a son or a daughter, I think the whole perspective of life changes completely.
Okay, to conclude this, I'll just take a few names. Give me the first word that comes to your head. MS Dhoni.
Cool.
Okay. That's overused now. Now give me another one.
Tala.
You're playing it safe. Virat.
Champion.
Okay.
They won recently.
Fair enough.
IPL champion.
Dude, this guy's won everything there is to be won, so I'll give him
But
that.
recently IPL champion.
Exactly. Rohit.
I would say friendly. Quite friendly.
The new test captain, Shubman Gill.
I think he's got the swag.
That he definitely has got. And he also has a way of giving it back to the crowd as and when he wants to. Hardik.
I think he's the swag. He's got the swag. Everyone's got the swag nowadays, but Hardik, I think he's a rock star.
Nitish.
Next big thing.
So you're backing him to go all the way for the Indian team.
Yeah.
Right, Tilak.
He's the present.
Right. He's not the future. He's
the present.
the present at this point in time. Dinesh Karthik. A very, I don't know.
Animated. I would say animated.
No, I mean, I can't even imagine the journey he's been through, man.
Yeah.
Personally, professionally, in every way. Somebody who's backed you a lot, Harsha Vogle.
I think he's the way he's developed his career over the years, if you see. So I would say, I think he's genius in the way he talks.
And sometimes you just want to be glued to the TV screen when even if he's talking for half an hour, you just want to listen to him. Who else is left in your team? Ravindra Jadeja.
He's the most reliable, I feel. Reliable.
Got it. Lastly, I'd like to, ask you this. Where do you see life going from here?
I think I'll take it one day at a time. Not thinking.
Right. I mean, another aspect that I want you to answer on, the reason I said that, I believe growing up as cricketers, a lot of people commit the mistake of ignoring other facets of your life.
Yeah.
It could be education.
Yeah.
It could be other aspects. Because at the end of the day, in professional sport, your career, unfortunately, is far more limited than in any other profession. A doctor can possibly operate till ever. Right? Like an engineer, for that matter. So, while you're at the cream, while you're at the peak, how important is it to divulge into or invest whatever you're earning into different facets of life, be it a business, be it anything, any mode of investment for that matter, in order to ensure that you sustain the test of time and eventually set that standard for yourself?
I think life teaches you that. You don't have to really think a lot about it. When you experience life, when you think about, if you don't think too much about what you want to do, how to save money, how to invest money, if you just live life the way you want to, it will eventually teach the ways you want, how to survive. The human nature is such that you'll eventually find a way to survive. I don't think too hard or too deep into it. I'll just live life the way it flows. Last
2 questions of the rapid fire, Vihari, before we close this. And thank you so much for giving us your time. One, you can answer in yes or no to both actually. Do you believe politics in cricket wronged you in any way? Yes or no?
I think it's not wrong. I tell you this because...
No, it has wronged you, I mean.
Wronged me. I don't care. I don't care now. It's not an attitude, but it's in the past. I can't change it, so I don't care.
Second is, if you're ever given the opportunity, and you're somebody who I've had the privilege of understanding over the past year, and the way you responded also when we approached you for this podcast, it tells me a lot about the kind of person you are. If the opportunity ever presents itself, would you be okay taking up a political hat?
No?
I mean, whenever in your career, if you ever get the chance to serve the people?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I've done that in the past. I've had a foundation. I've helped a lot of people during COVID.
Yes.
So I am quite socially responsible person. I like to give it back to the society. but the right opportunity, right platform has to come for me. I can't go looking for it. I'm still not in the stage for it. But if the right platform comes, maybe.
Because I've followed a couple of aspects, let me tell you, and I believe you're a fan as well. You've spoken in a couple of interviews, and you also tweeted about Pitapuram. I saw that tweet. If the man himself, if I was to make the question more specific and put you on the spot, if the man himself, Mr. Pawan Kalyan, gives you a chance to serve the people by being in his party, would you be open to it?
100%.
The same with Mr. Naga Lokesh, because you interacted with him recently.
I mean, if I get the right platform, like I said, then 100% I would actually, it will be my privilege to give it back to the society.
Thank you so much, Vihari. It was
Pleasure.
great talking to you. And whatever it is that you seek to achieve in the near future, I hope you do it, and wish you all the luck with life as well.
Thank you.
And congratulations, by the way, for the son.
Yeah.
And I'm sure life has changed after that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.